Alafu iko hivi, Morara jo ataturepresent huko juu, apende asipende. Kama ni kumchangia pesa ya kampeni, tutakuwa tunachanga jo. Venye saizi watu wanambaia mafuta, hivyo ndio tutafanya mtu wangu. Tena venye alisema jana, Ruto ana kitu yoyote mbaya kuongea kukumuhusu. Ana jo. Sasa buda ni mbaya raundi. Mimi najua mimi nilisema nini. Mimi ndapigia nikikufa na Morara ama niongee na Morara, hata akishindwa sitakuwa nimepoteza anything in life. Kwani nitalose nini? Socha mimi wacha nijaribu kucheza ligi nyingine sasa. Ona wacha nikwambie, kwa siasa yote hatujaiona mtu mmoja yeye ni investigative journalist, yeye ni auditor general at large. Hatujaiona kitu kama hiyo. Hata wana siasa wote hakuna mtu achaifanya. Wewe unasema nini wewe? Mimi nakwambia ni Morara hapa na pale. Mungu ametupatia huyu jamaa. Wewe unasema nini jo? Na si ati nini mtu wangu.
And I want this message to go to all the young people in the Republic of Kenya. You cannot change the system from those or from the systems that created that failure. For example, we have political parties in the Republic of Kenya. Those political parties are aligned along to tribes. There are political parties for different tribes and different regions. So if you want to solve tribalism, you cannot solve tribalism by still getting into those political parties that are along tribal lines. Neither can you get into those political parties and solve corruption, for instance, because those political parties have enabled corruption for a long time. So you are not going to get in there and change a system that is established and financed by corruption. We may need our own vehicle through which we can bring the change that we want. And the same message should also go to Dr. Fred Matiang'i, that you cannot change anything by going to Jubilee. Jubilee is part of the problem that we are dealing with. It's part of the odious debt. It's part of the corruption that started all the way from 2013. So if you take us back to the old vehicle that led us the wrong way, hata ipakwe rangi haiwezi kubadilika. Just like taking us to Kanu and expecting us to trust it.
Okay, well, that's interesting, because that we've looked at interpretation of a proverb that can then be applied to daily life and what we're seeing in the country at the moment. Let's take a couple of steps back, Morara. That one, you were going around the country looking at ways in which Kenyans' money had been spent and that those projects were not completed. People were very switched on to like, okay, this is actually happening, what's going on. Why did that stop?
Well, first we need to acknowledge that there is very huge cyber warfare in Kenya, where state operatives target any critics of the government through sponsored hate on social media. And before we become activists or people trying to effect political change, we are people who come from families, we are businesses, we have reputations to protect and children to protect and our own safety. And when the state overwhelms you with social media hate through being targeted by these bloggers, probably you need to take a step back, because you can't outcompete them.
Okay.
They are using state resources to have thousands of youth hired as bloggers who register several accounts, and therefore if a lie is told on social media, or if they defame you, or if they go after your reputation, it can be overwhelming, even to you and even to your family. And at some moment you have to take a breather, take a step back, look at the bigger picture, understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, how achievable it is in the short term and in the long term. And that is what I needed, a much needed break to also look at myself as a person. Before I look at the country, what do I want to do for myself before I think about what I want to do for Kenya. And I've taken a break and I've thought through it, and I've realized, well, I can be extremely successful as an individual, which I am and continue to be successful in business and in many other things that I do. But it's not enough. It's not enough to be individually successful.
Right.
it still bothers me that there are people out there who are jobless and unable to secure job opportunities, not out of their own fault and not because they didn't acquire enough education, but because they have a government that is destroying job opportunities by running down the economy. It still bothers me that there are people out there who are completely unable to start a business because of access to capital, because we have reduced our banking system and access to capital to be a bandit economy. I was listening to you on my way here and I heard you say we become a wash country that just enables money laundering and other illegal activities as legitimate careers, and people are therefore unable to turn the dreams that are in their head into realities on the ground. So these are things that still bother me when I sleep, and I feel there are little steps I can do. Probably I can't carry the whole world in my shoulders, but I still have to make an attempt to bring some change. If the favor of God is upon me to bring that change, then I hope to see it during my lifetime. But if it is not, I believe I'll be part of the voices that will go into that change if it comes someday into the future.
Morara, you see, when we talk about what you did, and one thing that we have to do as a people is let's celebrate people when they're still alive, you know. We give you your flowers for highlighting where the country is, how public funds have been spent. And with that, many would say, thank you for bringing that up. But even while at that, it was not easy. You used your own resources. And we see the attacks that came through. What did that do to one Morara Kebaso when government machinery was directed to you for saying that which must be said?
It's been very heavy. It's not just government machinery. It's also opposition machinery. Because, you know, we are living in a country where if you side with government, it's messed up. If you side with opposition, it's messed up, because the people who are in opposition were once in government. So even as you go around the country to audit these projects, you get to projects that are not necessarily by William Ruto. You get to projects that belong to, for instance, I went to Maua in Meru, and I found a road where Honorable Mithika Linturi, the organizing secretary for DCP, was the contractor. He was not just a leader in that area. He was actually the contractor through a company called Articon Limited, where him and his wife, then wife, Marianne Keitani, who is now an MP, were the directors of the company, and they were given 1.2 billion shillings to do a road from Maua through Adhiru to Meru National Park, and that road was never done. And the residents kept explaining to me how many pregnant mothers have died on the road while being rushed to hospital. You know, people try to deliver at home and they get complications, and when they're being rushed to hospital, the road is so bad that you cannot get to hospital by whatever means, and these people have, you know, nothing else to do but just watch people die. You travel around the country and you find projects by these same people in the opposition. So the machinery that came after me is not just government machinery, it's government and opposition machinery. And that is very heavy for one young man without the level of resources and without the tribal backing that some of these leaders enjoy. You know, apart from these leaders having political power, they also enjoy a very strong tribal backing, in the sense that if you try to talk to people on the ground about a leader they are very passionate about, the likelihood that they'll burn your car or destroy your property is very high. You cannot, for example, go to Nyeri and tell people that, look here are the facts, here is the Auditor General's report, here is the EACC report. The Honorable Rigathi Gachagua registered a company called Machine Center Limited, and it received 438 million in a contract for the Sagana River Restoration Project, which was worth 1.2 billion. And that is why you don't have water in your farms at Kiawara in Kieni East. You can't say that on the ground. So it was very heavy on me emotionally and physically. I became unsafe, because you move around the country and you don't know who is a friend and who is an enemy. You do business around the country, you don't know who is a friend, who is an enemy. You don't know who is angered by the sentiments you're making or by the revelations that you're making. Because most people are only happy when you say that Honorable William Ruto, the president, is corrupt. But corruption did not begin in 2022. It is something that we have to go way back and start understanding at what point did we get lost. So it was, it almost led me into depression.
Najua some of you mna write off Ruto. Okay, this is just my view, okay? You see, Nairobi sio yenye napiga kura pekee. Think about it. Okay, sisi huku tunasema one term nini sawa. Huko ushago msana nunua mkate, soda, mama anapewa leso na kofia na t-shirt. Ashaanza kuimba nini tuta. Unaona hii by election venye kunaenda. Mimi nawaambia, hii Nairobi sisi ndio watu wengine ndio tuweze kuondoa na do. Lakini in real sense we have a long way to go as a country. Believe it or not. Wase uko ushago, msana kwa Chwani, anaenda anapanga naye anapigia huyo jamaa kura. Chwani 50 bob. Aya, another thing, iti mingine iko sawa. Hakuna shida. Lakini ni nani watafront kama presidential candidate wao? Hawataingiza tamaa. Another thing, Genz, sawa tuko hapo online, oh mdomo nini hapo nini. Mimi si Genz, mimi ni millennial. And then hamchukui kura. Waswali kufa June 26th 2023. For what? Kama mtaka kuchukua kura, for what? Hamchukui kura mse. Mtoto aje mse hapo. No, this is just my personal opinion. You guys want to fight for change, but mnafikiria change Nairobi ndio inaleta change. Mashinani kura mingi kwa mashinani. Na wala so mashinani wanapewa so 2 so 500. Akipewa thawa hata anataka kutoa nguo. Hiyo ndio ukweli wenye uko. You want to fight for the progress. You want to fight for change of this country. But are you guys really ready for that conversation? Because most Gen Zs, they talk too much, but they don't have votes. They will insult you. They will talk about your mother. They will talk about your father. They will insult how you look. They will be, oh, nini. But nyinyi hamchukui kura. Unajua tukiongea hivi kama mmechukua kura ina make sense. Mkimba yo one term, but at least kuna, unaona? Uko ushago watu wengi wananunua na soda na t-shirt na leso. Hiyo ndio ukweli uko. Hiyo ndio ukweli wenye uko. Msipochunga Ruto anarudi na anaweza kaa 20 years. That is just all I'm gonna say.
Ati black chocolate ni fine melanin bana kutoka nikapate. Kanapenda kenye mi wanapenda, so kanapenda toto chupa na hali ya nono.
Madam na kudai, umedunga mini na unapenda mangwai. Una dance fit, unawacha nikismile. Ama niko high, you realize I'm nice.
Kono moja mbele, gine yende rembe. Baila